So we are going to toss a backdrop object since it's not going to need to move. We're going to appropriately size that to the width of the screen and tall enough. I don't really know how tall it needed to be to house all that, but we'll find out if this is enough. So let's magnify that bad boy. And same thing that always happens. It copies the black as transparent, but that's okay. We are crafty enough to figure out how to make use of that. So we just change our transparent color to black and we're good to go. I had to figure that out my first stream due to some agonizing why the hell can't I see my letters stuff. And now I can. And now I figured it out. So we got Murderatti Golf right there. Sweet. Let's properly size it now. Let's say 220. See if that's right. Let's say 215. Let's say 208. Let's say 205. That'll work. Okay. And height, we're going to say 72. Yep, perfect. Okay. So now we're going to position that guy right there, which is close enough to dead center. Oh, speaking of which, I got to turn my grid back on. So we'll snap it to my positioning grid, and then we'll just move it up a little bit. So, boom! There we go. Now we're going to need to make a string object to do a little bit of describing how this thing works. So let's toss one of those right there. And we're going to use the same crappy font I've used in all these. I probably will go back at some point and change these rather nasty looking alias tiny fonts to my non-aliased bit font, but I'm not going to do that now because I don't have a text splitter, so it basically requires me to manually position the letters into the words as like art, and that's boring as hell to watch, and it doesn't really change anything other than presentation. So we're going to start with this and we'll end with that. So you're going to select your club. Let me pop back over to Design Documentville and make sure I'm not forgetting everything. We're going to select your club. We are going to select your club. Oh, how are we going to select our club? I didn't think about that. We're going to use up and down arrows. Right? So we're going to select your club with up and down arrow keys. Well, that's already really, really big. Copy that thing. We are going to aim with left and right arrow keys. And I'm going to need to shorten this because this is taking up too much space. So I'm going to need to reword this in a second, but for right now I just want to get my ideas down. And lastly, hit shot with spacebar. And there's no room for a hit this button to start. So let's figure this out. That's one line. All right, we're keeping that. Oh, that's perfect. Let's make these guys a little larger too, just in case. So up and down, select the club. Sweet. Much better. And then this one will be interesting. I don't know how I'm going to do this exactly. Let's see where that is. Start shot. Shot power. And I'm hoping people know how to play golf games well enough that this will make some sense to them. because I really don't want to go through the process of walking people through how old golf games work in the first place. Ooh, not quite. Let's make that one bigger. So that's going to be how that goes. And then just for the time being, I'm probably going to move this later, but for the time being, we're going to have start game down here. In fact, I might as well just keep copying these things. It's quicker. So. Boom. Oh, that's beautiful. Right, so we're going to have, oops. I'm just going to do press Z to start, because I've done that on every other game. And we're just going to keep that the same, because, you know, that's my start button / action button on most games, if you will. In fact, the space bar may even turn into Z. Dad Murda. Oh, what's up? Everybody, Marshall is also one of my ex-coworkers. Marshall and Keith and myself all worked together at Sneaky Games for until last January was when I left the company. So great people here, fantastic people. You will see their names as you go forward, game industry side. I know it. Both of these gentlemen are too talented not to be public figures in the very near future. So keep these guys in mind. Keith Brown, Marshall Adair, big guys right there. So we got press Z to start. And we're going to have Adam's little golfer picture thing to add some splash amazement to it right there. So I'm totally happy with this right now. I don't even need to... oh, and you know what? I'm doing this all on my logo. Look at me screwing up. So check this out. We're going to clone the logo. We're going to change the name of the logo to title screen. I didn't even realize I was doing that. Look at me going too quick and talking. So let me make sure these are indeed separate things. All right, cool. Now I'm going to delete all that stuff I just did from the first copy of the frame so that it won't screw up. What? I wonder how there would be events associated with any of these. I haven't done anything with them. Oh, I know what it is. I just need to delete carefully. That's all it is. If you'll notice, there is a random thing you can't see right there which deals with logo hiding and formatting, but I don't want to delete that. So now let's come back over here, and now I do want to delete that. And yes, we're going to clear out all this stuff we don't need. We're going to keep the font because I never know when I'm going to need that. But all right, so we don't need that either. Nope, sorry Vintage Logo, we don't need you here. And the only thing I'm going to keep is that Control Q closes the game, just in case I need to force quit if I screw something up and the X in the corner isn't working. I don't want it to play that. I don't need it to set scale, but I will want it to full screen when I'm testing, so I'll leave that alone too. Alright, so we got our title screen. Woo! Sucks ass. Now let's clone that as well, just to keep all our settings intact. And then we're going to clear that whole... oops, not until I've changed the name of it and made sure I'm not deleting the wrong copy. Game screen. Yep, cool. Alright, now I can nuke all this stuff because we don't need it. Alright, so before I do any programming or, I don't know what to call it, functional art, you know, the stuff that I'm actually going to be using inside the game, I want to do a little bit of blocking for my UI, because this is a very different game than anything I've done before. So I'm just going to draw some boxes and figure out where stuff's going to go. So my current thoughts are that the right side of the screen is basically going to be your pick what you're doing / front view of your golfer zone. I don't know what I'm going to do over here, and then this whole middle area. In fact, I hate these awful active object images that they default. These are terrible. I'm going to change it. So in fact, that's going to be hell on earth to select because there's nothing inside it. So let's do that. So let's hope that's the right size. I don't really know yet, but... And even though I don't know what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to block that off too. Oh, hey, they're 1 pixel short. Let's fix that. Boom, there we go. I'm just changing the height of these, and now I'm copy and pasting the new properly heighted Y valued image over the previous one. So this is where we're going to have our UI residing as far as I understand right now. Here in the middle is where we're going to have our overview course. So the ball's going to be popping out of here. Balls are popping out. It might have to be a new song of mine. So you're going to be hitting from right around this area. Ball's going to be flying anywhere between there and all the way back to there. And if you hit out of the bounds, I don't know, maybe I'll let you re-hit. Maybe you get 0 points. Maybe I pop some message, hey, your aim is crap, go home, I don't want you playing my game. Maybe I hack your computer remotely. I don't know what I do, but I'll do something. Nagatron TV has now prayed publicly in our channel. That is fantastic. We don't discriminate here. We are religiously tolerant. Just don't try to convert me. So let's just start throwing tiles down. That's fun to do, right? Now, I do not want 32 by 32 tiles. That is weirdly large. Most old systems worked on an 8 by 8 system, so pretty much every sprite tile or otherwise were matrices of 4 8 by 8 things. If you think about old games, you know, like Zelda, Mario, stuff like that, pretty much every tiled image you saw in the game was a 2 by 2 matrix of 8 by 8 tiles that made a 16 by 16 tile. The size of Link's sprite in Zelda when he's walking in 4 directions, that is 16 pixels by 16 pixels. So that, given 8 by 8 was a little bit too small to really discern what it was, you didn't have enough space to really add any detail to anything, so they very quickly started matrixing those 8 by 8s together to give a larger, better sprite size that was a default. So I'm going to go with the exact same thing. Super Nintendo did the same thing. If you play, you know, Final Fantasy IV, Zelda, all that stuff, Link was a larger than 16 by 16 sprite, but Final Fantasy IV, every character sprite and every tile was 16 by 16. Very, very common tile size. It divides evenly into the resolution. There are just a million reasons why it's a good idea. And in the modern era, it doesn't matter at all, but we're doing it anyway. So, because we're keeping it old school, or we're going to die trying. So, I'm just going to throw some grass down here. So we're going to need to do, let's do some fairway grass, right? That's always super green and has almost no grassiness to it. So we are going to drop some fairway grass here. Boom, fairway grass done. So let me set up my little list of tiles over here while I'm thinking about it. So uh-oh. Alright, everybody, I've had the same problem that I've had 1,000,001 times now, which is when somehow, and I don't know why, my control key just magically sticks. So I am now forced to be control copying things. Oh, and now I'm not. Alright, let me use this as a disclaimer. Don't buy the Microsoft Surface. The sheer number of random, stupid problems that Microsoft knows nothing about that plague this thing, it's ridiculous. I am very, very quickly just going toward an abandoned Microsoft completely perspective. Got to embrace PC gaming because that's the only thing with a computer that works. I mean, anyone who owns a Mac and has Mac Steam knows how much of a joke that side of the service is. But okay, so That should be enough to batch copy. There we go. And one more. Boom. All right, cool. Now we got some grass. So now I'm going to copy this grass tile. I'm getting a Big Dan. I can't see who that is. Oh, that's my man Jordan. All right, everyone. Of all the crazy shout-outs in the world, this has been my best friend since I was literally 6 years old. That guy right there, man. That is good people. He will soon control every oil company in the country because he's a genius and he knows way too much for his own good. He's always also going to be my web developer. Cool shout out. But right, they all run terribly and the selection is just trash. I can't. I mean, it's all those like weird iPhone-y wannabe puzzle games and just. It's either that or it's Valve normal stuff. Look at this. It's like a friend reunion on the chat. This is amazing. Part of me just wants to stop and just watch this with my hands crossed behind my head, but I'll keep going. So at the bottom here, right, we need to... In fact, now I don't even remember if I copied that thing yet. I'm all lost. So I'm just going to go ahead and clone this. So we got this here. So this is now a distinct, different object, as you can see by its name, from the grass, even though it looks the same. So what I'm going to do with this grass object is I'm going to add a little mat that you're going to be hitting off of. And I think I'm going to need 2 of these guys. So I'm going to start with this one. And let's just toss in a little driving range mat right here, right? So boom, boom, boom. And that's going to be way darker green, because they always are. And we'll do some of my super awful kindergarten era shading around the edges because I got to prove my art chops. World's got to know. Okay. That'll work. And we're going to put the T right in the middle. We are going to copy that because we need to have a separate copy of that flipped around. And that is where we are hitting from. Unfortunately, it's not centered. And looking at it now, it looks like the only way to center that properly is to break from the 16 by 16 grid. And I don't want to do that. So this weird box that I don't know why it's there, we are going to shorten that by 16 pixels. That will let me center things a little more smoothly. So let's back that guy up. Let's do a nice little copy and paste chunk right there. Let's take that from 56 to 40. And let's paste. There we go. And then let's move it over. Alright, now we need another line of these guys. And now we have one. No, we don't. That didn't do anything. That was stupid. What was I expecting would happen because of that? One second. Doing a little bit of spacing here. I don't know why my brain's not working, but well, then we're going to add another line. And now that's dead center. All right, cool. So, rocking. So the ball is going to fly out of right there. And let's do some math here, right? 16, 32, 64, 96, 128. 60. So 142, I'm going to write that down. The length of the entire course in pixels is 142 pixels. The length of a super long, hey, what's up, Sung? How you doing? Sung's another buddy of mine. She rocks. That is the most Asian thing I've ever heard, and I love it. So, and we are moving that thing over again. I don't know what we're going to... Maybe this is where we'll do our score stuff on the side in that super tiny frame. I think that'll work. Ooh, in fact, even better. This is not a proper multiple, so we're going to fix this. We're going to make that shorter. Oh. That wasn't racist. It was just true. Because those are both not multiples of 16. I didn't realize that they were on the 8s and not the 16s. So, same thing we did a minute ago. Got a little 32 going on there. Boom. Right? This is looking something like the beginning of the game anyway. We're getting somewhere. So, now I want to do a little bit of rough. Even though I don't think that's a common thing for driving ranges, it gives me another tile to make, so let's do it. So the rough is always darker green, so we're going to do that. And the rough has super nasty big grass, so we're going to be tossing super nasties all over the place here. Doing my typical Dan grass with like 2 or 3 tiles up, and then 1 or 2 or 3 pixels up, and then 1 little corner pixel. Because I didn't need to take art after 3rd grade, and neither do you. I don't know what that's doing there, but one little thing for tiling that's always nice is to not give it, like the fact that it's a 16 by 16 tile. I'm going to put the up part of the grass here, and I'm going to put the corner part over there by kind of looping at random points on the sides, by continuing, basically by not bounding the entirety of your art into that 16 by 16 box and kind of continuing from the left side to the right side. It makes it a little harder to see the tile seams. My art's really not good enough to benefit from that, but it is kind of a good practice to get into. And if you look at the older games, they do a really clever job of doing everything in their power to not make it look like super obvious squares of the exact same art every single, repeated over and over. The places that the art repeats vary a little bit. It's a really nice little thing to do. So I'm going to toss some more green action over here. Alright, so now we got rough. So I'm going to toss that all over the side. And even though this is a quick game, I have a feeling I'm going to need to make a transition tile piece too, because that looks a little too abrupt for me. So I don't quite know what that's going to be yet, but we'll figure that out in a second. Alright, so we got rough. We just got rough for days over here. Oops. And I'm going to copy this guy. And I'm going to take a piece of this guy. Oops, in fact, oh, yeah, that's right. Take a piece of this guy. And we're going to do a little bit of a blend thing here. So I have no idea if this will look any good, but we're moving forward. Progress is being made, my friends. So this might look just as bad, but we're going to give it a shot. It looks pretty bad, but you know what? We're going to leave it alone because this is a quick game and I'm having fun. So we're going to clear out all those pieces and we're going to copy this guy. So now we have our super rough. Pun embarrassingly intended. Oh no. Is it? Hey, my control button's stuck again. Why in the hell does this happen? Ugh. I'm telling you, Microsoft just ruining my life every day you're alive. I would make a super off-color Steve Jobs joke right now, but yeah. Actually, it would be way better if it were just a Bill Gates joke. But and I shouldn't be doing this. I should take the correct tile side and not just flip it, but I'm lazy. And you can't really tell anyway. So copy that thing all the way up. Make sure that control isn't stuck on again, which it isn't. Good. And then we're gonna rough things up all over here too. Alright, so we have the basis of our driving range right now. And we have spaces for our assorted UI. So now I need to figure out, what do I need to tell the user? What do they need to know, right? They're going to need to know what club they have. They're going to need to know where their aim is. What club they have seems like something that would work in a side UI, whereas the aim would work way better on the actual game frame, you know, the actual gameplay portion of the screen itself. So arrow, when you're aiming, is going to be over here, right in front of this guy. And UI pieces, I think we're going to assemble from a combination of my font and little tiny pictures. Oh, and let me get the rest of my tiles that I just made. Copies of them just in case I need to use them again or screw with stuff. I don't want to have to screw around with the board itself. Oh, and the other one. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Alright, so let's keep going. Ooh, that's big. Alright, so we are going to have club, right? And this, what I'm doing right now, is the reason that I'm using that crappy font on the title screen, is unless I'm writing tiny little 4-letter words or super intense angry 4-letter words, I don't want to waste all of your time watching me copy and paste letters into little organized matrices like this. This is super boring, even for me. And I'm used to boring. 99% of my life is this times 20 type boring. So we got the club. 50 cents about to sue me. Good. Any publicity is good publicity. Right? So over here, we're going to get that guy right there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is an active. I think we're going to want this to be a background. So I'm going to take this entire image, what we got right now, boom. I'm going to insert a backdrop, and I'm going to paste over it. And now we're going to delete the active version, because I'm going to be placing actives on top of it, and I don't want to have to do a bunch of layering I don't need to do. Yeah. So we're going to have our club. In fact, we need more than just that. We need my expertly made semicolon in my super amazing font. Let's copy that thing too. By the way, random aside, if for whatever reason any of you want this fixed width font, I'd be more than happy to send it to you. I don't really know what good it would do for most people, but I'm not trying to hold on to this thing or copyright it. It's just a whole bunch of random letters I drew in 20 minutes someday. So if you want to use this old looking font for anything, please, by all means, let me know. I'd be happy to upload it and send it your way, do whatever I need to do. You could probably just screen capture one of my games or something and snag it pretty easily, but and I don't quite think that's enough to set it off. So let's do a little more to make this kind of nice, because we haven't done anything to this. So we're going to go over all this crappy looking ordinary stuff, and we're going to go a little windowier with it, right? So let's do that now. Oops. There we go. There we go.